If you've been a participant of my channel discovery stuff, which apparently a lot of people have, then you'd probably know that I'm a really big fan of Daredevil. The day that I heard they were making a Daredevil reboot or season 4 or whatever, I loved it. I was like super excited. I was hyped. But then I remember, this is Disney. They might fuck it up. Yeah, I do know that technically Disney did make Daredevil, but not exactly. Basically, Disney paid the company ABC Studios to actually, make it with the writers and stuff. Disney just like paid for the advertisement and how it worked with their MCU. So if this character shows up, you can't use them again. If there's actors in this, you can't use them again. So the Netflix shows weren't specifically a part of the MCU. They just let fans like speculate and stuff. But when it came to season 3 and everybody thought that the Netflix shows were gonna get canceled, which they inevitably did, basically they kind of just had free freedom because Disney like bought the rights to the show and wanted them to put on Disney Plus, which they eventually did, and they didn't really know if they wanted to make them canon or not, so they just got to do whatever they want, which is why every season 3 of these shows kind of just flew off whatever and flew freely. But basically this video is just going to be talking about how if they use Daredevil in the MCU in any capacity, this is just stuff they have to put in, or stuff they should put in, or stuff they could put in, or stuff they shouldn't take out. So yeah, so this is an unscripted video, so if I fumble stuff, I guess I'm just sorry. I think this is the easiest way, at least for Daredevil, considering the fact that they've technically already met, and Spider-Man is getting a Spider-Man 4 somewhere between the release of the Disney Plus Daredevil series. Also, it would make it like sense, I guess, because Peter knows that Daredevil's out there, but he doesn't really know he's Daredevil. But Matt knows that he's probably met Peter from somewhere, but he doesn't remember when, of course, because of No Way Home. So obviously it's like the easiest way. So there's a lot of comics they could adapt that actually makes sense here, like the Born Again storyline, which they kind of adapted. But now that Fisk knows that Daredevil is, Daredevil, and he's out of prison because of the blip, I guess, makes a bit of sense that he would come trying to ruin Daredevil's life, but he wouldn't break the deal immediately. Maybe there's a thing with like him and Peter, and Spider-Man 4 is about him versus Fisk. There's some kind of personal connection that Daredevil interrupts, and that's why he's trying to like break his life open. That might be something like that, but we don't really know, Or maybe May and Matt had some sort of personal connection, and Peter wants to look into that, and if that eventually leads to the meeting, or eventually leads to him like finding him as Daredevil, since technically he hasn't stopped being Daredevil, but he thinks he's just focusing on the lawyer side more. So the No Way Home scene has like this kind of weird tension between them, which I think might be explored more.
Thank you. That's amazing.
I think a more action-centric story between Matt and Peter would just make more sense, I guess. And I guess they could adapt the Spider-Man and Daredevil 2003 miniseries, which also had Kingpin trying to ruin both Spider-Man and Daredevil's life. But it might just not even be Kingpin. Wilson Bethel's Bullseye still out there. They use that weird gel thing to make him back walking, I guess. There's also Scorpion and Vulture who's back in prison. I don't give a shit what Morbius says. So I guess maybe he'll be like forced to take up their case, and maybe that's how Peter and him meet. But we don't really know, so let's move on. Since it's already confirmed that there's going to be a She-Hulk show, like, there's literally a fucking trailer, I don't know what I'm talking about. Since I guess they're both lawyer superheroes with their relation into the comics, he has to be in it. I guess it kind of just makes sense for the character to show up, and it's highly speculated, like very high. So it just makes sense for the context and plot of the entire show. Then again, that means Jessica Jones would technically be in it, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Again, this one is pretty short considering She-Hulk is only like a summer away, and there's not really much to say about it right now. So I guess, yeah, let's move on. The best story that I could really see them adapting now is the Chip Starzik, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, comic book series from like 2015. It's basically just because it has the perfect mix of like MCU references and characters, and like Daredevil being brought back in the highlight. There's this police officer, I forget his name because I read it a long time ago, who I guess Brett Mahoney is inspired by, so they could kind of just use him there. So I want to see more Brett Mahoney, and he has some weird fan base, so I don't know if I want to see him that much actually. But still, they could probably adapt this, especially from how much Bullseye is experienced in it. There's also this really cool scene with Foggy that I want them to adapt. Also, Daredevil having like fanboys that like impersonate him, I guess is cool. So yeah, let's move on. Now, for things that they shouldn't do. There's actually a lot of stuff that I'm scared Disney will do that they shouldn't do. Now, to get the elephant out of the room, yeah, no, don't make it TV-14. Embrace the chaos. Make it rated R. And there's some bozos out there who are saying that it should be TV-14 because apparently Daredevil wasn't that gory. I'm not gonna show you here. I'm gonna link some scenes in the description that show how freaking gory this actually is. Also, don't recast Bullseye. I know that it's been confirmed Wilson Bethel is in the series, but that Disney Plus show is like in the earliest stages of production that it could possibly be. So it could change over time, which I hope it doesn't. So I know it's scheduled to film like later this year's, like late this year's, but that could change and be delayed. Also, there's a lot of stuff they have to get through before doing it, like writing, actually hiring writers that actually, fans like, getting costume designers, getting studios that could like film it at, and just all. So don't put past main characters to the sidelines. Characters like Karen and Foggy are really important to Matt's character in general, so don't just put them away or just kill them off randomly while they're barely in the season. Don't make it 6 episodes, make it 13. I don't care if it's a 9 or something, like make it 13, make it like it always has been. 13 is the perfect amount to actually flesh out the characters' motivations and flesh out new characters and actually bring suspense and actually flesh out the story. The problem some Disney Plus shows are definitely struggling from. In general, making them 6 episodes kind of just ruins the runtime, especially when they're supposed to be introducing new characters and not just continuing a past story. I'm kind of fine with Falcon and the Winter Soldier doing it, but they kind of need to introduce him as, Captain America now, so I'm not that pissed by it, I guess. So don't make his suit yellow. Like don't. It's not smart. It doesn't symbolize that he's having a new beginning. There's better ways to do that. Just don't do it. Stick to the normal red. Actually, no. Make a new red suit that looks better and better on screen that we actually see. And yeah, that's it. That was the one last thing.